Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's have a little chat about the undercard of the Usyk versus Fury rematch, which is scheduled for December the 21st. And looking at this undercard, there are a couple of decent fights, but I think it's not one of those stacked Riyadh cards. This, of course, will take place over in Saudi. It's not. Well, we'll go through it bit by bit and see what you think. First of all, let's start with the bad. We'll start at the bottom, and my God, it is the bottom. Johnny Fisher against Dave Allen. Come on, man. I mean, what is this nonsense? Johnny Fisher undefeated in 12. Eddie Hearn has hinted, maybe even more than hinted, that Fisher is a world prospect. I've seen no evidence of this. I like Fisher, good fighter. He's only 25. The Romford Bull, 6'4", big lump, hits hard. Last seen splattering Alan Babbage in just over 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever it was, 35 seconds. Yeah, against Dave Allen, 32 years old now, the White Rhino, 6'3". Probably had more talent than he exploited. He got done by Fraser Clark in 2023. Retired after 6 rounds. And then he had a couple of run-arounds. I mean, Buchetta, you know the guy I mean, the journeyman, outpointed him over 4. Outpointed Jake Darnell, who's only won a couple of fights out of 30 fights, 25, 30 fights, whatever he's had. He outpointed him over 4. So then he goes with Johnny Fisher, as one would think, the sacrificial lamb. Although, if Dave's up for it, which he didn't appear to be against Fraser Clark, maybe he'll provide us with a surprise. I very, very much doubt it. I see Fisher stopping Allen, beating him up and stopping him and putting yet more miles on the clock. Allen's been in some wars already, and in sparring as well as in in the ring itself. This is just an awful fight. And let's move on. Let's move on to Isaac Lowe versus Lee McGregor. Now, Lowe is a cousin of Tyson Fury's. That's got to be the only reason why he's consistently on these cards. I mean, he was over in Riyadh for his last fight, which was a 10 points decision win over a guy with a 16-1 record. I think the record probably flattered. Ahmadi was the guy's name. Hasbullah Ahmadi, I think. Didn't know much about him, but Lowe won most of the rounds, maybe 7 of the 10 rounds. He's been beaten by Nick Ball. No shame in that, of course. Got done in 6. Prior to that, Luis Alberto Lopez knocked him out in 7. Those were his 2 defeats. One in 2021 and one in 2022. So he's kind of rebuilding. And he's had 4 wins in a row almost all against very modest opposition. He's 30 years old now. And yeah, I mean, Lee McGregor, yeah, a good fighter, Lee McGregor, decent Scottish guy, 27 years old, so he's probably entering his prime. 14 wins with 11 KOs, 1 defeat. The defeat was actually in Edinburgh against Eric Ayala. That was for the IBO Super Bantamweight title. These are Super Bantamweights, by the way. He lost a 12-round decision, unanimous decision, close. I think there were a couple of 115, 113s, maybe a 116, 112 in there as well. He's had a couple of wins against, again, very modest opposition. So he's going in with Isaac Lowe. So I suppose you could say this is a sort of like one of those crossroads fights. Even though McGregor's only 27, Lowe's 30 now. But it's kind of, piss or get off the pot time now. A win and the winner goes forward, defeat, and the other guy is probably consigned to, certainly to no more Riyadh cards, you would think, unless it's a tear up and then, both guys emerge with their stock raised. I don't know. I don't really see that happening. It's kind of it's a sort of fight you'd get on Saturday night at the York Hall. Maybe as a headliner, but nothing special, is it? Then we've got Moses Itauma. You don't need me to tell you about Itauma, one of heavyweight boxing's greatest prospects. 10-0 at the moment with 8 KOs, only 19 years of age. Has he turned 20? I don't think he has. He's about 6'2", 6'3". Big, powerful lad who's going to just grow into his man strength. And last seen out, destroying the remnants of Marius Vac in 2 rounds. Vac's once anvil of a jaw has clearly been cracked. He got floored in the second, and Itauma looked the part. 19 years of age, and he's beating the crap out of a 44-year-old man. But yeah, 44 says it all. So Vac should be retired now. Come on, man. But Itauma did what he had to do as a 19-year-old. He hasn't really fought anyone of any great note. He's learning. He's building up his record. But he's in there against Dempsey McKean. Now this is a jump up. McKean has only 1 defeat on his record. He's 22 wins with the 1 defeat, and he's got 14 KOs. His defeat was in his last fight, and that was a 12-round stoppage over Filip Hrgović. Now, I always thought Hrgović was overrated, and this fight kind of, prior to Hrgović getting beaten up by Daniel Dubois, I think that this fight kind of revealed that he was very much very much overrated. A decent fighter, Hrgović, but not that great. Because McKean, who's a 6'6", heavyweight from Australia, he's a big lad. He messed Hrgović around. He took a lot of full-blooded punches. And he got floored in the 12th round, but before that, even though he was shaken and beaten up, he did manage to sort of fiddle his way through a lot of these rounds, hang on in there, and make life. He made a nuisance of himself. You wouldn't say he made life difficult for Hrgović, but he made a nuisance of himself. And even though that was last year, that was over a year ago now. He hasn't had a fight since, which doesn't bode well for going in there with Itauma. But you'd think, clearly he's been brought in as clearly a jump up in quality, but at the same time, he's being set up as the fall guy for Itauma to look good. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think Itauma will knock him out, maybe even early. And it'll look very glossy on his record that he's taken, he's knocked out a 22-1 guy whose only defeat was to Filip Hrgović. Yeah, it is a jump up for Itauma, no doubt about it. I mean, Christ almighty, the guy's only 19 years old. Heavyweight, that's an absolute fetus. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if McKean can make life awkward for Itauma. Can he beat him? I think it's impossible, but I think he's a rank underdog. McKean, a rank underdog. And then we've got an interesting little fight. I think this is a good one. This is Dennis McCann, 16-0-1. And the draw was against Yannick Baluta, who in his last fight, he got revenge over, and he won a wide decision for the EBU Super Bantam title. It was a technical draw, by the way, the first fight. Over 9 rounds, 8-9 rounds. And he's also beaten Brad Strand over 12. That was a good win. Strand was undefeated in 11. And he's got a couple of other, decent wins. James Beach Jr., Joe Ham. Those aren't bad domestic level names. This is Dennis McCann I'm talking about now, but there's no doubt 23. He is considered to be a major prospect in the Super Bantam division. And he's going in, he's a Queensberry fighter, and he's going in against a Matchroom fighter. This sort of Queensberry versus Matchroom thing is continuing, and I'm rather glad about it. But my God, Eddie needs a win, doesn't he? He's going against Peter McGrail. Peter McGrail is 28, so 5 years older, southpaw, and he's coming off a very good win, actually, McGrail, over Brad Foster. Foster's a good domestic level fighter. And McGrail just smashed him up in 2 rounds, which is very, very good. And in fact, that was only last month. So he's busy. And prior to that, he beat Mark Leach. But before that, he got knocked out in 5 rounds against Jericho O'Quinn, who he'd floored twice in the 2nd and 4th rounds. And in the 5th, he got tagged and bang, it was all over. He was counted out. So a 1-punch KO for Jericho O'Quinn. So McGrail is rebuilding, I suppose you'd say. But there's no doubt about it. I mean, this is a good matchup. An undefeated fighter in McCann against and a young, hungry, determined, motivated fighter against Peter McGrail, who many fancy to be, a real world prospect. And because of the O'Quinn defeat, the jury is now out, very much out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That is a very, very good fight indeed. Very good fight. And then, as what I would imagine would be the chief support, I could be wrong about this, but you have Serhii Baranchek going in against Israil Madrimov. Now, this is another good one. Because Baranchek is 24 wins with 23 KOs, 2 defeats. His last fight was against Virgil Ortiz Jr., and he lost a competitive fight on the cards, and it was a majority defeat. But Ortiz was down in rounds 1 and 7 or 8, something like that. And a lot of people thought, this was for the WBC interim super welterweight title. A lot of people were saying, "Come on, Baranchek won this fight." It's from Ukraine, Baranchek, 29 years old. And prior to that, he beat Brian Mendoza. And that's a very good win. That was a unanimous decision, and it was quite wide as well, because Mendoza has a 7th round KO win over Sebastian Fundora, and we know what Fundora did to Tim Tszyu. Fundora's currently got a couple of belts, hasn't he? So that was a very, very good win from Mendoza, and then for Baranchek to go but Bohachuk, why am I calling him Baranchek? Bohachuk. Serhii Bohachuk to go and defeat Mendoza so convincingly. That was a very, very good win. And then there was the controversy over the Ortiz Jr. defeat, majority decision defeat, by the way. So now he's going in with Madrimov, and we know about Madrimov because he's coming off a competitive fight against Terence Crawford. He lost his. I think was he the WBO interim champ, or was that a vacant belt? I don't know. I lose track of these belts. But anyway, he gave Crawford plenty to think about in that fight. And a lot of people said that he won. I don't believe that's the case. I thought Crawford deserved the win, but it was competitive. And that was Crawford's debut at 154. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's a pretty good matchup. Good fight. Should be competitive. And probably difficult to pick a winner in that one, yeah. As with McCann and McGrail, I'd say McCann and McGrail and Bohachuk and Madrimov, those 2 fights are the ones where I would say it's difficult to pick a winner. Probably more so than the headline with Usyk and Fury, because I would say Usyk's a hot favourite against Fury. But that's the undercard. What do you think? I'm always cautious of getting into that vibe where, we've been spoiled with all these Riyadh cards, and I don't want to come across like I'm ungrateful for a half decent card. No, I don't think this is a patch on some of the Riyadh cards, but then there are still, like I say, there are a couple of fights in there that are intriguing. And you get to have a look at, I mean, Moses Itauma and Dempsey McKean. There's a curiosity to that as well. Fisher and Allen, you can throw that rubbish out. Lowe and McGregor. I mean, you just never know. You might get a good fight out of it, but not a great Riyadh card. But nevertheless, let's be honest, we're there to watch the rematch of Usyk Fury, I suppose. And if we get some entertainment on the undercard, I suppose we can't complain too loudly. But what do you think? What is your opinion? I always say this, but leave your comments below because I like reading them. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button. Support the channel. Do all that good stuff. But let me know what you think about these. And what's the one you're looking forward to the most? What fight are you looking forward to the most? And what do you think is the fight that could surprise us? Yeah, I think Lowe McGregor might be one that might spring up and we think, I wasn't expecting that. But comments below and I'll answer them. And thank you very much for your time as always. And I will read your comments and answer as many as I can. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and bye for now.